Hey guys, it is Alexander Williamson, unshaven, looking like a bum. I can see it now in the live stream. So what happened? What happened? That's a good question. Well, so I decided, let me start over. Hi guys, welcome to the Secret History Living Inside Your Aquarium live. It's Friday. Yay. Let me flip this around. So, you guys know probably I got Panda Loaches. I love Panda Loaches. They are a rare, they're not considered endangered, but they only live in one river and easily are, could be over harvested in the hobby very soon. And so it's imperative, in my opinion, that we get them to breed. So I showed off the pink tank and all the color in it here the other day, and I'm gonna clear most of it out. I've already upped the flow, dropped the temp. It's already low TDS, but the panda loaches are gonna have to come first, the colony of them, and then I'll move some of the other fishes and so forth. Hey, what's up, Sunshine Aquatics? What's up, Tilapia Store? So that's going on in this tank, which is already stressing me out. So last night I was fiddling with my CO2, and I mentioned it, and I've had like 5, 6 people now ask, "Hey, what CO2 setup do you use?" And the answer is I've tried a bunch of different ones. And this is what works for me. This is what works best. I pulled it out so you can see. I've got a timer set up, and then I've got the filter is actually on a different switch, which it doesn't need to be. I will condense that. But right now, this is a timer. You can set the time here as specific as you want. Sometimes I'll split the day, so like 4 hours of light and CO2, 4 hours of light and CO2, with a dim part in the middle, so that way I get to see my fish in the mornings when I'm awake, and then again at night. Um, and in the middle of the day, they just go back into suspended animations because they're creatures with no feelings, right? No, I'm just kidding. It's fine to do that to fish, though. Rainbow fish and so forth will actually color back up if you turn the lights off. So this this setup here is pretty straightforward. I've got the timers, and we've got the light and the CO2 through here, and the CO2 is always on, and then running up through. We've got the check valve, obviously. We've got a regulator with the why am I drawing a blank on the electrical part that lets me a solenoid, the solenoid, and then the bubble checker. I have spent a lot of money trying different CO2 regulators out. I worked at a shop that sold like, high end like Do Aqua and ADA and different stuff. And honestly, this one was 54 bucks, and I really like it. So the CO2 accident that happened last night, we're gonna go downstairs and look at it in a minute, but I was just kind of talking about this stuff before, as people trickle in, so I don't have to repeat myself and stuff like that. But in any case, then I've got the CO2 line, which is extra strong. Yeah, Bob, that we'll see when I go downstairs. I couldn't bear to look at what I found earlier. Yeah, so I'll talk you through it when we get there. But this is the same system I have exactly set up downstairs, except for instead of a 2.5 pound canister, I have a 20-pound canister, and it can actually the regulator keeps it so that it pushes the same amount of CO2 and stuff. However, I had it turned up really high because it's a 40-gallon tank downstairs, and it's a 40-gallon breeder, and it just doesn't spread the CO2 that well. I'm using these Fluval CO2 things that come with the little kits, and actually they work with the big kit up to a 20-gallon tank. Awesome. They're better than anything on the market. Hasn't clogged in a year. It diffuses super well, and it just great results. So if you guys care and just it supports the channel. It's an affiliate link. I've listed how I set everything up here because people keep asking me about my CO2 and everything's on there. I wouldn't buy a canister online. You can get them at a welding shop or something for way cheaper or used somewhere on Craigslist. Just make sure that if it's expired, go take it to like a weld shop and trade it in and get yourself a nicer one. They'll usually retest it at their company for free on their own money. Just you don't even mention it and they won't even care. Like, and then the one time they saw it, they're like, "Oh yeah, no problem. We retest it for $1, and in house it doesn't cost us much of anything. So, yeah, we'll trade it in." So, but I put the links below. The other thing is I fed the other night with this awesome German-made brine shrimp holder. And this thing is great in that it does not run on, and we'll get to the CO2 disaster in a moment, but this does not run on air, like pressurized air at all, or, any sort of heat or light or anything like that. Well, kind of light. But basically, you put your brine shrimp eggs in, you get a liter of water, shake it up, put a tablespoon and a half of salt, just like cooking salt, into it. And this ring system makes it so they hatch on this outside within 24 hours. You don't dechlorinate the water. The chlorine actually helps hatch the eggs. And then they have to go under this hoop, and then they have to go over this hoop and then under again and then pop up in the little area. Now, the smart part is that it doesn't jostle as many eggs as like an air, one that has an air line running into it. And the lamp that warms it and stuff, for me, if it stays around 70 degrees, it's fine. If it's colder than that in your house, you might want to put it by a lamp. But honestly, you can set it on a lamp or under a desk lamp. And then, look at this. This is filled with brine shrimp ready to go. And the fish love it. It gives them such better color and everything. And these are all live baby brine shrimp. That it produces about 5 to 8 scoops of these live baby brine a day. And so yeah, I wanted to put that out there. It's a German company that makes them. And finally I noticed that someone's selling them on Amazon for like $25. And to me, like, this isn't going to run a fish room, but if you're just trying to breed like 2 or 3 species, or you've got some fish that you really want to show off in a show tank, look at how much these guys light up. Like their gold like this turns into, like, some of them are doing it right now, into bright peach and orange color. And this is in a live stream mode and the color is not that great. So this tank, luckily, no accidents, no CO2 was spilled. And what I did, hello, 186 Element. I'm sorry that nothing notified you. No one gets notified by anything anymore. Everyone's complaining on YouTube. It's a real bummer. YouTube has admitted that they're only notifying 5% of your subscribers who've clicked the bell, and then if they don't click on that thumbnail when they see it, they won't show it to the rest of your subscribers, essentially, or it'll just go into the queue as if you were not subscribed. And I get why they do that, but it is annoying because people think that they're going to be notified. And if you guys are here, you may have been notified, but it makes it so I have all these people saying, why didn't I get an alert? I clicked the bell, I subscribed, and yeah, so that's frustrating. By the way, check out this Endler. He's so unique looking. I've never seen an Endler with like turquoise, blue, black, and orange. So he is the one I was talking about the other night. He's all colored up because she's about ready to give birth. I separated her because I don't want the babies in this tank. I want these Panda Loaches to feel at home in this tank, and I'll let the Cories and the shrimp stay, but the Somfongzi, Rasboras, Tetras, everyone else is coming out. So basically, yeah, so this tank, you can see how the CO2 works. It's great, And the system downstairs works great too, in theory. But when I was trying to figure out, like, I moved a bunch of plants out of here already, which you guys might not be able to tell, but a lot of those pink plants that were in here are gone. They're downstairs or they're somewhere else. And I moved them and I unplugged some strips from upstairs and downstairs and switched things around yesterday. Now, when I did that, I had the CO2 in this same configuration blasting downstairs. So I hope the internet holds up uh, while we go downstairs, and I apologize if it does. We got my friend Ben here. He came over.
Interested in this whole process too.
He's interested in the process, but also for moral support because I don't know how many of my fish are going to be dead, you know? So we'll find out in a moment. Before I show the tank, here we're going to feed my shrimp and baby fish tank and its backup Panda Loach tank because they did have loaches before. I had Panda Loaches from last year that are all grown up too. But we've also got the baddest that are hatching in here and then blue shrimp in here all over the place. So there's that. Plus the algae shrimp. The shrimp are from LRB Aquatics and also from Aquatic Arts. So yeah. Thanks, Bob. Good to see you on here, Bob. Your tanks are looking great. So, luckily these tanks are doing okay. I've been having some funkiness going on up here. This is the all shrimp tank, and I've started a new style, which is like the only saving grace to the mess I'm about to show you when we turn around. But basically, these guys had 50, 60 adults, and they just started disappearing. And obviously, they're dying. And so they're dying and then getting eaten by each other. But they were just reproducing so fast for months, and I sold like over 100 of them. And so, yeah. Someone asked Ben, "Are you scantily clad? This would not be a time to go shirtless."
No, not really.
He says no. So yeah, I don't know what's going on in here, but what I did is I took, and this is something you should try. Yeah, broken glass sharp in the tank. Yeah, you see that? I had a fishbowl in this tank upside. So I was working on a project of Inception, where I had put air in a fishbowl, put it upside down. It was neutrally buoyant, and it was actually like a hatchery for some fish, some nano fish that like to lay their eggs in there. And then, of course, I dropped it and it shattered. And then from the ground, the shrimp love it in there. They think it's like the safest thing ever. And so they hang out in there. And so I just haven't moved it because I figured it'll grow algae. And it's going to be dangerous when I move it. No one else is in here touching anything. So it'll be dangerous when I do something about it at some point. But
you don't have too much substrate.
That point isn't, yeah, there's no substrate. So,
Yeah, exactly.
like, I'll be able to see it and everything. And I know, like, I mean, I can see it well. I'll be able to see it even better if it's dirty, though. But I don't know. That happened. That's a reality. So the other thing is I took all this moss and just even algae and junk from the tank that had the CO2 overdose. And they, you know, it's a bummer. So I took all the floating plants, or a lot of them, and I put them in tanks with shrimp, because you'll notice that there's little fry that hatch. And even in a tank like this, well, these are a lot of live bearers, but there's other fish in here, like the axelrod green rasboras and, pea puffers and autosynclists of both genders. So there's a bunch of stuff going on in all these tanks, but they lay eggs, a lot of these fish, like the danios, and then they lay eggs up in the grassy areas or on plants, and then they just get eaten by whatever's in the tank. So if I just gather up all the plants out of the big tanks and throw them up here where there's no fish and just like 15 shrimp right now or 20 shrimp. Every day I find two or three odd ducks. Like I don't know if they're CPDs or what they are. It usually takes a month or two to be able to identify them. But then I just take those fry and I either leave them in here for a while, or better yet, I put them in here and you can see I've got like cinnamogills hanging out in there. We've got the baddest, which actually were laid in here, and then we've got just other oddball little skittering across the top fish. So hopefully some of the fish, if they died, I can recover because maybe they laid eggs. I hope. All right, so let's get to the bad part. So Ben, you want to help me here?
Yes, that's why
Let's
I'm
switch.
here.
Let's.
Well, no, that's just a benefit of having my presence.
All right, so essentially what happened, guys, is and let me just say a word about this too. So, what the heck? No, why did this just happen? This makes
Even worse.
Well, the airline just literally came unhinged. What in the world?
Oh, you need that air to help balance things.
Yeah, I really do.
Oxygenation to help the CO2 to
So
dissipate.
I want to tell people this. Look, we've definitely got dead fish.
Yeah, let's get a little.
So what happened was the CO2 was on full blast last night. And yeah, that's going to be a powder blue gourami.
Oh, tear.
And so I wanted to tell you, this tank does have an air stone in the back. Because I thought, oh, someday maybe, and it's also not clean right now. This algae grows so quickly because of I've got a Fluval 3.0 cranked all the way up right here.
Oh,
and
yeah.
So that combined with the level of CO2 I was blasting everything with, the hair algae grows really quick in my water that has low TDS. But I wanted to say to you guys that when you put air like this into a tank, so say you want to get oxygen to your fish, this is not a scuba tank, guys. What this does is it agitates the top of the water. So film the top of the water, Ben.
Top.
See it moving all over the place? The bubbles? That's where a gas exchange occurs. So if you ever gas your fish with CO2, you want to put as much water disturbance in as you can. And so we've got two filters running, and this little waterfall will help that, and that it's tumbled around in the back.
Now, wouldn't it also help if you absolutely had to raise that up so the waterfall was a little higher temporarily?
Yes, to splash.
Yeah, to
correct.
splash.
Correct.
Right.
And so I threw in water lines right before Ben got here. Ben was going to be here anyways, and I found
lucky this time.
Yeah. And so look, some of these fish, Ben, some of these fish are like, he would not tolerate this ever. They're all dopey.
Yeah.
And,
I'm seeing that.
And when I first came to feed them, like you guys know how many Danios there are in here. There's 9 species of Danios. They just sat here. And now they're at least running from me a bit. And I've agitated the water. I added new water. I mean, I tried to do...
Let's look at that dopey tetra again.
Yeah, the beta.
Thank you.
Hey, down the wormhole. I've gone down the wormhole on this one. So, I'm gonna leave this hose just disturbing the water somehow.
You get it to stay in deeper?
Yeah, deeper doesn't necessarily matter.
Yeah, but at least to stay in, right?
Yeah, let's see. So that'll...
Yeah. Oh.
Damn it.
Whenever you think you got it.
So, yeah. All right.
So I'm not a great camera. I hope this is...
you don't need to zoom in too much.
No, I'm not trying to change the zoom.
Okay, cool. Let's see here.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah, this tank is
wrap
in the
a loop around.
It will. Well, it'll try to undo itself because of the air pressure.
Oh, yeah.
This will work. It's just I'm down. There's no substrate. These rocks are not. Hold on. Let me pin it against in between something, and then it'll be fine.
Beautiful.
That may work. Ah, I'm blinded.
Woo!
Okay. So I'm just gonna keep hitting it. So let's put it off to the side. No, dude, it's fine.
It's sitting on the water.
It's fine.
Got it.
It's waterproof. Um. So I don't want to crush all these plants. You guys are watching me just struggle bus.
Well, you're definitely showing that this tank has a lot of muck in it to disturb.
Well, it's just
A lot of fish.
really, and the air supply is cut here also.
Go redirect it.
All right, you can just film the tank for a sec. Will you read me anybody's comments or questions, please, man?
Any comments or questions?
No, like read them. They're on the screen. Man.
Oh, they are. Yeah. See ya, sunshine. Sorry. No air. 45G. Sorry.
Is anybody saying anything? Or?
No, I went back to Ben scantily clad.
Oh,
and they're
okay.
all just
Just saying.
interested in the tank.
Okay.
So poor Gurami.
All right.
Have you taken any other fish bodies out?
No, nothing's
As of
been
this point?
taken out
So
yet.
this is not interrupted from the
Yeah,
unfortunate.
Sorry of my mess, but let's
Just take care of it. It's
Let's
okay.
let's get a skimmer. So everybody's had enough time now that if they were gonna wake up, they should have.
And how long is it that they've had?
They've had oxygen going for about 2 hours now,
Nice.
and I mean this gourami. It's
Do you want a close up?
it's beautiful, and I'm just bummed. She's just.
They are.
She was
gorgeous
carrying
fish.
eggs and everything.
Oh.
You can see that. I will do an
Where's that?
right here on her belly. You can see she had eggs,
Thank you for clarifying.
but she's still totally colorful. I tried to drag her backwards through the water, and
Try to inflate those gills. Wake her up.
oh, bye sunshine. Is that fish dead? Yes, this fish is dead. And so we're going to. I'll put it.
Not this one.
That one's not. So we get some water in here just so it doesn't stink or get.
Also Gurami, but the yellow.
The yellow is a honey gourami. But so yeah, what I wanted to tell you guys is though that when you put an airline in, don't think of it as a scuba tank. It is not a scuba tank. It is an agitator of water, and the exchange of gases happens up top. It's not pumping oxygen into your tank because those bubbles are only 35 to 40% oxygen anyways. The air we breathe is not like pure oxygen molecules.
Where's that bubble come? There's the edge of the bubble.
Yeah.
So that's the point of gas exchange at the surface.
Yes. Yes. And
In terms of getting out of the CO2.
And this tank it needs to be reconfigured as we speak. I literally have moved pretty much everything in the tank already. I've been feeding the algae to my baby plecos here, who are in real hot water, not metaphorically speaking. They're in 81 degree water, the baby plecos, and they have grown so fast. They're like 4 months old now, the baby plecos, and they are just huge. So that's good, at least. I mean, they're like 3 inches long already in some cases.
So Shelby Ray wants an update again if you just want to caption.
Yeah, so
the CO2 is going all night.
So what happened, if you want to film over here, just pull back, like so everything's in frame.
Got it.
So this, well, the water's down right now, but this CO2 was on and just blasting away all night long. And it's under a water thing that is now clogged. It's barely coming out. And that, I don't know why that happened. Man, I need to get into the tank though.
Go on. Sorry.
Yeah, just try to zoom from like back here a little bit so that I can still work in the tank. Just because like here, there we go.
Sorry, I don't know your camera.
I know, buddy.
Well.
It's really hard to operate zooming in and stuff on there. Anyways, I'm sorry, it's a pain.
Richard Bunt says never put CO2 on his tank.
Yeah,
Some people are like that.
I've never had an
So
accident,
wait, let's catch these Corys.
and hopefully this.
Oh, I'm so glad.
Well, I don't know if they're alive.
No, they moved. I saw them both move before I'm capturing.
So
Beautiful
Corys,
so far.
especially panda Corys, actually do have venom in their fins, in their pectoral fins. So you want to be careful. Don't just go prodding Corydoras or plecos. Plecos are not venomous, most likely. I guess the research doesn't know that for sure. They're not venomous to humans, I can say that. But Corydoras, several species are actually fairly venomous to humans. You're not going to die or anything, but it'll really irritate you and your skin. And so right now we're kind of combing through,
Trying to
see who's asleep,
how many
who's
can be
still in here,
resuscitated,
and
or if there's any bodies.
yeah, we're looking for bodies because the last thing this tank needs now is an ammonia spike from the dead fish.
Ah, I didn't even think of that yet.
And so the other thing that is really a bummer here is that, by the way, this is the Kabamba furcata that you guys saw upstairs.
Oh, so pretty.
And it was super neon purple upstairs. This is what it looks like in low light. And so the color, it just sucks on the live stream, unfortunately. But yeah, so it looks brighter in real life. Just trust us. Ben is helping me film, and he hasn't filmed a ton with the live stream app. So like the zoom button is super twitchy. The color scale is super off. They don't make it super user friendly. This is Bladderwort here. By the way, I'm just pulling it out. Yeah, this is actually a carnivorous plant that eats everything from young planaria to scuds and daphnia and all sorts of stuff like that.
Why did you introduce that to your tank? Just accidental? Or?
Yeah, I didn't want it. I don't want it in my tank at all. It's kind of like hydra or planaria. It just kind of shows up in a lot of tanks.
How many fish have you taken out apart from that poor programming?
I took out.
Was asking, is that the only casualty? And I know there's at least one other.
We don't know yet, but I took out about 4 of these Danios.
4 Danios.
So and they were the Pantheri Danios, which are a new species discovered in 2005. Not the panther. If you can just zoom back out, like you don't need. Yeah. Does it let you? There you go. And the other thing is these tetras, usually they're just hidden. These lemon tetras. Everybody is so dopey right now from not enough air. Like this guy would normally just be hiding from me. And they're just... I mean, I can poke him. I can push him around. Can you show him? Like... I mean, well...
Alright. Back in on.
Oh, yeah. Okay. You're up there now? So, I mean, normally he would just be terrified and, yeah. But he's still gasping. A lot of gouramis and especially bettas, they're actually, they're considered labyrinth fish. So they have an organ where they can go to the top of the water and breathe air and gulp air. But these fish, the CO2 crept up, and they're used to the CO2 in this tank in the day, and it crept up, and at night all the plants stop metabolizing CO2. So CO2 turns into carbon and oxygen split up. In the daytime, plants take that carbon and they use it as building blocks, and they build new buds and leaves like on here. At nighttime, however, they get rid of the excess carbon in gas form, and it forms also as CO2 as a waste byproduct in the cells. So even though they use CO2, they release some at night, plus they stop the metabolic process. They stop using photosynthesis and they start using the sugars and proteins that they've gathered from fertilizers in the tank. So they basically eat from their roots and process whatever they uptook in the day, and CO2 exits at night. So that's why it's so important and why you should turn your CO2 off like an hour before lights go out if you want to be careful, extra careful. You can see these cories are starting to wake up a little bit more and get
Yeah, they'd
tangled.
never let me do that.
Yeah.
Except on occasion mine do.
But yeah, so the plants, those obviously will all be fine. And the whole plan, though, is to overhaul this thing anyways. And so what
Just
happened?
thin it out so you can see more differentiation, or what do you mean by overhaul?
So you see this netting back here?
Yeah, I see that.
That's actually a terrace. And so these are lava rocks that have been inoculated with nitrifying bacteria, and they have pipes underneath, which allowed the whole tank, when it had rocks up out of the water, like over here.
Yep.
Like up over here, Ben?
Like up over here.
Yeah. So with those up so high, I didn't want to use all rocks. So underneath that there is a sandbag, or there's actually two in medium. So right here, if you get from this angle, yeah. So where this
rotate device.
yeah, you can't turn the thing. Exactly. Stupid YouTube. But yeah, so these bags now are showing because I moved so much stuff around that, and there's just been a bunch of erosion. So unfortunately, all this needs to be rearranged. I got back from Florida and I kind of got everything healthy because everything got algae. Because I instructed Ben not to fiddle with my settings and stuff.
Oh yeah, do your patrons even know that I was entrusted with feeding these sweethearts?
Possibly. Some of them know.
Right.
So let's see here.
I know you have a lot of
what are people
subscribers.
saying?
I don't know. It's worth noting, and how much any of these individually might get viewed.
Well, so wait, what's going on up here, Ben, with these comments? Where were we at?
I think we're further down.
You read all these?
I did not see Tech Turtles, Gubby, or the room.
Will you read through those while I keep talking, and just if someone has a question, let you just read it off to me, pretty please. It's hard to multitask, but I usually do this alone, and it's like, So in any case, yeah, I pulled out. Let's see if the Daniels will come back. What we should do is you keep filming that. I'm gonna grab a Sierra ONIP tab, and those
seems
things
like
are like
there's just a conversation between three
Okay.
people about how best to use CO2.
Okay, yeah. And so the only reason this happened is not because CO2 is evil, any of that. It's because I'm a dumb you-know-what, and I was going to say a dumb blank, 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 but it's really a dumb two-word level of seriousness rather than the three-letter suffix. So let's put this on the glass. This is an ONIP, Sarah ONIP tab.
Got it.
This usually brings everyone out, so we'll see who's going to come out and play. They can smell it. This should bring out most of the Danios, the Pseudomagills. Yeah, I'll take it. Thanks, buddy. Thanks, Ben. Thanks to the awesome filmographer. All right, guys. So let me read through some of your questions and make sure that I didn't miss anything.
I don't know if there were any direct questions. There was
all right. So yeah, if I missed anybody's question, just say it again. And now I got the phone. I kind of know how this goes. And thank you so much, Ben, for helping. But it is so frustrating to run YouTube on the phone and film and stuff. So yeah. So in this tank, yeah, Shelby says, "Hey Ben, you're really overdressed today." Oh, I see skin. I see skin.
Wait, what's his name?
So, well, the beta who never goes and has the guts to go to the ONIP. Oh, we've got another casualty.
Oh no. Is that just a
Yes,
ripped up fish?
it's a lung that
Oh.
was overworked. What the
So
heck?
close.
Why
Want
is
me to
this
try to
not
get it?
catch? No, it should catch it. It's not.
Okay, I tell you what. There you go.
Yeah, this net sucks. So
That's all.
this is the picture. Hold on, guys. This is the picture of why you don't leave your CO2 on at night. Some people say they just leave it on low all the time. Well, look at his lungs got so like overworked. They're so irritated. His swim bladder is shot. And I know this is graphic, but I just want to remind myself uh, his lungs, like the blood vessels came out trying to get air on that. And
And he's still moving around, but basically the Walking Dead.
yeah, and so that's another problem. When you get the CO2 poisoning, you need to clean out the problem, as it were, but you also have to make sure that the after effects aren't going to kill them. Everybody seems to be waking up, and so their metabolism is waking up also. It looks like the pseudomagills are appearing, which is great. These luminatus, I'm really happy that they're around. But
So-
the thing I'm not seeing are the 20 or so Corridoras that are in here.
Can I ask a stupid question?
You can ask as many stupid
Aw.
questions as you'd like.
You're so
Here-
sweet.
Here's a baby Corey.
Oh my god, I just love those quarries. No, my question was, like, if you didn't have like a little air pump to run some just like room air through to push out the CO2, would it work if you like did like some sort of water change?
Yes,
like
that's what I
re-dump
did
water?
before you got here. Yeah.
Alright.
So I did a
Glad
water.
I thought of that.
Yeah,
to
you have a
ask.
good point there, Ben. Your instincts are good, my friend. So
And then colder water as well would have more oxygen, I would think.
that is true, but I didn't.
But you don't want to shock the fish too
exactly.
much from your range. Oh, good. Still a gourami. You should. I didn't think I.
Oh yeah, here's a gourami that's
Oh.
awake. It looks
moving.
like it's a little spastic, a little
Yeah.
twitchy.
Little movement.
So are the guppies. So we're literally,
More
you guys
coming
are seeing,
out.
as I know, look, there's a baby Cory that survived it. They're actually, surprisingly, baby fish handle this kind of stuff better than adults oftentimes. This guy's waking up, coming out. I'm glad. There were a few fish sleeping deep under here that I had to throw out one Cory. Is this guy going to be awake?
Was a death in the quarries? Oh, now you tell me. Here.
This guy's really asleep. Usually they're a little skittish. This specific variant, yeah. Let's see.
My quarries are so tender, you can pretty
Oh,
much just
poor
touch
guy.
them anytime.
Poor guy. Wake up, bud. And the other thing is you want to, I know it looks like I'm harassing my fish. You don't want to hurt them, but you want to keep them moving. Like, down at the bottom is a terrible spot for it. You want it to get water through its gills, and moving is one of the best ways to do that. So, come on, buddy. Swim around, get your energy out. You know, it looks like there's more Corys I just spotted right here. We're going to try to get them awake and up and at them. Yep, there's a whole huddle of them right here. And it looks like they might be alive. That guy, awesome. He's alive. He was not moving earlier whatsoever. None of these guys were. So, slowly but surely, like, these plecos would not want me touching them normally. These guys are all doped up right now. And same with the Garas or the Gar. Okay, they're okay. So, it looks like, oh, we've got another live gourami. Looks like we lost several honey gouramis. All these hatchet danios are gonna be gone. I think that's what died for some reason.
With the issues?
Yes, I
That
did
was
a
the
water
hatchet
change. I
Daniel.
did a water change, Shelby. My CO2 comes off 2 hours before the lights and 1 hour before lights out. Uh, yeah, no, totally. Task. This is the way. No, I did do a water change. Actually, immediately before Ben even showed up. I did a 5 gallon. Just made a splash as much as I could. So you see this CO2 spraying out? You see that? That is what happened when I turned this filter back on. It's on the same switch. It's an extra filter. That's way too fast. It's way screwed up. And all these pressures are right, but look at this. My second mistake, the bubble counter, the water evaporated. We had warm days in the last week, and the water evaporated low, and I hadn't even looked at it because I don't manually turn it on and off at night. And so it made it so that I just didn't look. Whereas upstairs, for the longest time, I manually would turn off stuff. I turned it off, but it still is like just gushing out of there.
Yeah, I've noticed that.
I just turned it on to show people what the CO2 looks like. But you can see that plants are pearling, and the lights come on midday. Uh,
Still in line.
like the lights only came on a few hours ago, and plants are pearling from overnight, which is really crappy. I mean, that there's so much CO2 in here that where I broke a plant, I bet I can do it again. Watch this, guys. So, what just fell in here?
No, what's just filling there? Oh, what, a whole pump thing?
Hold on, guys. I dropped something, of course, like an idiot in here. Oh, I see what it is. All right. So, the other thing, watch what happens when I break a plant. Watch this. They have so much oxygen in them that they're just going to pour out bubbles of oxygen now. See that? So I'll replant. Sorry, guys. I know this is kind of guerrilla filming. I want to scare these guys. Come into the picture. Show me who's alive. But yeah, definitely on some of these plants, like these guys, which I don't even know why I'm growing these. They're just like green plants that I don't care about. But where I just nipped it, watch how we'll start to get oxygen coming out of the plants. It happens when they're super saturated, and that's usually called pearling. See it happening here where I nipped a plant? It's just streaming out of the plant. Look at that, right where there was a cut. Look at those oxygen getting pumped out. So, looks like all my hatchet Danios. Oh, no, there's one alive. There's one alive. All my hatchet Danios did not make it. I don't know about my orange pleco. And lemon tetra's okay. This is just heartbreaking. I don't want to show it too long or too close, but the veins in his lungs came out, and that's exactly what happened with the other ones. I didn't know that could happen, but just knowing biology, I have to assume that that's exactly what would happen. Shelby Ray, yeah, you would do a water change. You just don't want to do too cold of a water change. Ben was correct in that cold water holds more air, definitely. But the danger is just that you would shock them.
In yet another
And
way while they were already delicate.
yeah, and these fish, they all look dead when I titled this podcast or this live cast. They really did. They all looked like they were dead. I could reach my hand in the tank and scoot them around, and they did nothing. And most were floating towards the top or on their side gasping. But it looks like I see some pencil fish who are always shy, but we've got 12 pencil fish in here. It looks like, for once, usually I can't film them on the live stream, but you can see the panther danios back there. There are two kyathit danios. There's a maytangensis pair of danios in here. There's tin winnies, and the tin winnies, I'm supposed to have like 20 of these little teeny Danios, the gold ring Danios, because they make babies a lot in this tank. And there we have the Brazilian red coral pencil fish. There's 12 of them. I see them back there, so I'm less worried. Uh, but yeah, so the lesson is human error. That's really the lesson here is I screwed up. I take responsibility for it. I turned off the switch. This shouldn't scare you away from CO2. This should just remind you,
On occasion, you gotta check that power strip.
you gotta check the power strip. Well, it's not even on occasion, is I unplugged it and then I turned off the lights for the night and I thought, oh, lights and CO2 are always connected. Well, it turns out that I had plugged in the CO2 straight into an outlet that was not on a timer like I had thought. So it was on all night. Um, Exploding brain syndrome. Yes, it is the bends. You're right, Bob Kaler. Um, but yeah, it's nitrogen also. In this case, CO2, but nitrogen or CO2 bubbles expand when they're pressurized in your blood, and then when they come to the surface or when it re-agitate or re-stabilizes, they can actually have a pressure change in their blood system, and it actually, yeah, it can cause their lungs to hemorrhage. And in the case of a fish, it's gills. So you notice now that he's in clean water, he can breathe, but you can bet that other fish would rip him apart, which is just so freaking sad. So I am going to, after this live cast, move him and anybody else who experiences this awful, awful lung issue or gill issue in the case of these guys. It looks like even the young Luminatus are doing okay. I probably lost. I just don't see them, and normally they're the most numerous Danio. I don't see the Tin Winnies. I don't see them, and they're the teeniest Danios. I see some Erythromicron and some CPDs, but this is my Danio tank per se, and they're just. I'm sorry. They're not in here, so. Uh,
You okay?
yeah.
Cover everything?
Yeah, we're gonna go back upstairs, guys. I will check. I've done what I can right now for these guys. They've got two airlines running in, two filters going, and the lights are on max, which will help the plants photosynthesize. You can see them pumping out oxygen also. Um, but I just can't bear to look at this poor little guy who's
Doomed.
he's due.
Doomed.
This guy he might be having some sort of Ben's sick, not Ben, but the
Ben's.
Ben's sickness as well. Hold on. So this is going to be a wait and see because you can't turn everything on too quickly or it'll shock their systems. With fish and shrimp, that's the number one thing I've learned with years of taking care of them is just don't do things super quickly. Even when you see that the oxygen or the CO2 is screwed up in the tank, see this guy's gulping again. Uh, don't don't just always hurry to like change all the water or do this or that because like their lungs can have problems. They can have strokes. Yes, fish can have a stroke. Um, I think I'm gonna have lost um, 4 honey gouramis.
Two of the pearls seem to be moving.
Um,
Maybe it's a little early.
I think the 3 pearls will, or wait, yeah. So I lost a pearl, or a blue dwarf powder pearl gourami. I lost a betta this morning. I lost
Danios?
the hatchet Danios, except for the one I see right now. And the tin winnies, I see like none, and I had like 15 to 20 of them. I see one.
And you did say that you thought that you'd lost the
And we may have lost one
one
of
of the Corridora?
Yes, we lost a couple Corridora actually. And this angelfish is doing okay, but not happy. Also, same with the plecos. The larger plecos, oh, come on. They're so non responsive that, I don't want to shock them all, but I just, when I see a new one settling or whatever, like this pleco should not be doing this. This is way too relaxed. I think I'm gonna move this pleco out of this tank. If it lets me scoop it like that and it's not putting its fins in, we're gonna pop it into this
So
tank.
is this an experiment now? Since you said not to do drastic things.
It's not moving at all.
Oh well, it did move a little out of the
So,
thing. He's like, please, Lord.
so if he swims off in a second here, we'll know. It's a test because none of the big plecos are moving in here.
Moment of truth.
So
Breaking.
this is my fault, guys. Um, I just started doing. Look at the guppies are mating over this poor dying pleco.
Puppies don't give a, you know.
Guppies don't give a hoot. They're gonna pollute.
But also reproduce. They're epic at that.
They are. All right, so I want to go upstairs, Ben, because
When you're ready.
I don't want to look
I'm
at.
gonna move first. I know it's hard.
I don't want to look at. I don't want to look at this carnage right now. All right, guys, so I'm gonna go upstairs, but what the cleanup follow up is to slowly get the airlines back in, get the air pumping. Why is this not pumping? Oh, hold on. You get that back, tuck it under so it's not going anywhere. Get everything. You want the water. You want surface agitation. Remember, airlines and air pumps are not scuba gear. They do not just pump oxygen into the water. That happens at the surface level with agitation. So we could lower the water level a bit. That would probably help a little more. Also, I'll do that in a while. For now, we're going to let things equalize like this on a 40 breeder to a 40-gallon filter and then a 75-gallon filter plus air systems and an air stone or sponge, I should say, back in the far corner, with the light blasting to help the plants use up the CO2 that's in there. The other thing I can do here is add ferts, which I did, because that will help them utilize the carbon and get it out of the system faster. But we're going to have to wait and see. And I don't want to crush anything under these rocks that's sleeping. So, yeah. And I'm sorry this tank's such a mess and it's not pretty right now. But that's that. These tanks are fine. I mean, they're messy and not pretty either, but they're fine. At least the purple flame sword, A. Echinodorus, is doing well. I'm happy that the puffer couple. This is a female with the dots on her. Indian puffer. She's so full. There were so many snails in this tank. Like there was no snail control in here for 6 months, and now there's like I don't even see snails in here that are alive. They've only been in there 2 weeks. Their bellies are literally dragging. The two puffers, the other one's back in here. But yeah. Oh, and good. We have a buried world's most yellow. Wow, she's really buried. She's got the line on her back. So she is a hybrid with either a Palmata or a Zanganagensis. And I was hoping that the full moon would spark some shrimp burying up. And my Babalti neon green color changing shrimp up here have also done that. And so that's good. But I don't know what to do, guys. Like, well, I do know what to do. But the CO2 problem, as I said, I've had the CO2 set up now for 2 years basically on different tanks. And I screwed up because I unplugged stuff. And Um, you know, you learn from mistakes. I watch other people and I think like, how could they do that? That's so dumb. Uh, but it happens, you know, just so many days, so many tanks, and it happens. So, um, all right. Uh, like I said, not that this is like a video where you're probably going to be like, I need to go out and try CO2. But if you do, I'm trying a new thing with the affiliate links to private vendors on Amazon. So they're like private stores. Some of them are local fish shops and stuff, but they're through Amazon, and then the channel me makes money for it because that way I'm just trying to raise some extra money to go to. Wow, there's a big shed of a short nose algae shrimp. I'm trying to raise money to go to the Chicago Aquashella. Wake up, you. Please don't tell me I've lost one of these guys for absolutely no reason. If
There's always a reason, you just might never find it out.
well, he'll move. Okay, good.
Don't throw you under the
He's
bus,
just
by the way.
He's just cuddling. These guys are so freaking cute. They just cuddle everywhere together. Like I thought like, oh no, where are they? They're all gone. It's a repeat of last year when it got too hot. But no, they just hang out. And this is so cool. They can hold on to the rock with their fins at different angles. You see how the fins are at different angles to grab the rock like a gecko? Uh, it uses this side part of its fin right next to its body on its pectoral fins to fan water through its gills. So it can still fan water through its gills and or the eggs that it's laid, and it can keep air and mold and everything off of it while holding on perfectly suction to the glass. Like this one's on glass, so it should be fanning a little bit more clearly. Yeah, it's fanning, even though I know that's horrible to view, but can you guys see it fanning? It's kind of a cool little adaptation that they've had. Also, the other thing is when you're dealing with CO2, don't forget you want to use pressurized line that is good for pressure valve or pressurized air. If you just use clear tubing, it can explode, it can leak. There can be all sorts of problems. But up here, I'm using a Fluval. This is comes with the 45 gram and the 80, I think 85 gram or 90 gram CO2 little teeny canister Fluval set, and you can buy. Uh, always run your CO2. Yeah, UG Aquatic or UG Aquatics, UG Aquatics. Yeah, I know that. I always run my light and my CO2 through a timer line. What you missed out, what happened is yesterday I had to unplug and move a bunch of stuff because this tank's getting torn down, the other one's getting rebuilt, and we're moving a lot of stuff around, including baby fry and stuff and shrimp. And I left it on backup support on the other switch that it has, and it defaulted to that at night and turned on when normally that's a backup to switch it the other way if it happened to be on, which is kind of silly. So I had two going. I unplugged it from this switch into another one at night. So your let me explain this. So your solenoid can only turn your gas on or off. So what we do in the hobby usually, there's more high tech systems, but in the old school system, you leave it running at a certain speed, like one bubble a second or whatever in the bubble counter. And then when it's nighttime, the power turns off, and therefore this thing turns off. You can set it the other way too. So when the power's like, it's just a switch that gets tripped, and power being on or off, you can have it start the reaction either way. And I had it set up on a timer through here. I moved it to here, but my whole system has a timer over here, except for the filter and heater. And what happened was then when it switched back to night, it turned the CO2 back on, which was supposed to be off. I should have unplugged it completely. That's the bottom line. I was stupid. I shouldn't have done that. And I thought, hey, I'm working on this. And I remember what happened was my wife asked me to come into the bedroom and chat with her, and I didn't finish up what I was working on. So, yeah, I don't know. That happened, and it's just stressful. I lost the end tally in here too. I threw some other fish in here from the little tank. Everybody's fine in here. There you can see some of the redder plants were moved over here. I've got a net in there right now trying to catch one of the cribs. Um, but yeah, so I looks like I may have lost a super red pleco long fin that's a year and a half old, 2 years old. I may have lost one or two long fin uh, blue eye L144s that are long fin, long tail. Luckily, I had a weird feeling when I moved them a week ago to that tank. I had a weird feeling and I left three in here. So hopefully the other three can breed. I mean, their parents died of flesh-eating bacteria that swept through my tank room about a year ago this time. And those are really my two big losses. I lost
Was
my,
that a year ago? That feels like less.
yeah, it was. And that was when I lost my orca catfish too.
Oh my god, I love that catfish.
And so I want to get more of the wood cats back in, but right now my wife wants me to
Minimize, as always.
minimize. Yeah, if we can get this fish to calmly swim into this net, no, of course it's not going to. It just doesn't come out much, and he has drop eye that made him lose an eye from way back in those infection rounds, and I just need him out of this tank because he's too big. He poops too much. He chases people. He chases fish around, and yeah, this crib is just
Chasing you around.
he's too
So
much.
much range.
He's too much. Even with one eye, he's too much cushion for the fishing. Um, but yeah, so back to the tally. We got the plecos. Probably three will pass away. Looks like maybe a dozen tin Winnie or gold ring Danios, unless they're asleep somewhere in that tank. And I'm gonna have to dig through and I'm gonna have to check my ammonia every day because it could spike, and then I'm screwed. Then they suffer that. The other thing is, like you saw, they could be getting the bends. They could have their lungs literally like exploding too, or trying to reach out and hemorrhaging.
We all hope not.
So I also lost Hatchet Daniels. I think the angelfish will be okay. And I think I lost a couple Corys, as well as, I guess, 3 or 4 honey gouramis, the little ones, the yellow ones. Yeah. You guys, like, I know it's silly they're fish, but you just kind of like, it's a sign when you've cared for them and you fail them, you just feel so bad. The good news is most of the fish room's fine, and I got good friends, and the fish, I breed them, they will come back. The plants, they're still good. And I am for sure going to Aquashella in September. So, all right, guys. Well, I gotta sign off and deal with the bodies of the fish. I actually like to feed them to the birds and things outside. Yeah, if you guys could do me a favor, people are like, "Oh, I'm sorry," I feel bad for you. Just think about um, when you're doing CO2, just make sure they're on a timer. If you undo the timer the like one time a year or whatever that you do it, just unplug it. Don't stick it into another outlet that's on a timer also to turn on, like as a default. So, all right, guys. Yeah, at least all my endangered fish are okay as of now. So, I think I might be missing a couple pandagars, which really sucks because they're super personable and I just really like them. Um, but we'll find out later. Uh, and all right, guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for your support and love. This is real. When I show you guys my successes and stuff that I'm proud of, I also need to show you guys that you screw up. People screw up. I wouldn't consider myself an expert, but I definitely would consider myself knowing a decent amount about fish and their care over the 20 years that I've cared for them off and on. But I definitely feel just like an idiot today. So anybody can make mistakes, and I've seen it happen with people who've kept fish for 60 years. Well, they could be senile. So let's say 40 years. I'm just kidding. If you keep fish for 60 years, more power to you guys. All right, guys. Well, I'm gonna get out of here. I do have new affiliate links, so if you do need CO2 or a little uh yeah, sorry. I'm just gonna go, you guys. But I just wanted to let you know I'm trying out those. I don't want to be a total sellout, so I'm trying to pick people who are selling stuff on Amazon who are already like local stores in like Schenectady or whatever, in Johnsontown, Ohio, when I look at who's selling it, and then instead of like Amazon products personally, and I know Amazon's still getting a cut and they're kind of like the evil mega corporation that everyone hates and loves at the same time. I would say if you want to get a tank for cheap, so I listed everything. The tanks aren't so cheap new online or anywhere, but if you can go to a local fish auction or yes, I've got a link on there, and it's not like crazy expensive. I think it's like $60. They go for like 300 if you get like aquascaping intended tanks. Get a tank for beer, like a CO2 holder for beer.
Oh yeah.
But you need the right regulator, and this I've tried for years. None of this gear has failed me. I have failed me with CO2, but all of it's linked in the description since we're talking about CO2, and I'm trying this affiliate link thing. I don't know if I'm going to keep doing it. I don't know. We'll see if it brings in, I get like 4% or 2% or 6%, depends on the product. But for most things, it's like 2 to 4% of their profit after all their costs. So like if you spend $100, I think it works out that I get like a buck for my channel or something. Not sure how it works yet. Haven't done it, but um, I'm gonna try that because I feel like it helps people source the stuff that I'm using. I'm never gonna put something on there that isn't something I'm using and or like I love. So I also put this twin star light on there and this feeder, which I love. But yeah, so I will talk to you guys later. I gotta clean up the aftermath, see who else dies from the bends or from readjustment sickness. We might go over the science of this later, but I have in old videos, and it just helps me out a lot, you guys, that you're here and that you guys, go through my back catalog, look through videos that aren't suggested, because YouTube has changed its algorithm in the last few months, and it's not alerting subscribers like it should, and so, people. Uh, if you want to see more content, unfortunately you have to search for my channel. Go back, look through some videos. Don't leave it on autoplay so it jumps to another channel. Although that's fine, do whatever you want to do if you want to do that. But I'm just saying, if there's a topic you're curious about that you ask me a question about, I have over 400 videos now, and I've answered a lot of different questions. And so I just want those to be helpful rather than being buried forever. So that's all I'm trying to say. Other than that, you guys brighten my day. Thank you. These babies brighten my day. I know that they'll come up and replace the few that passed away. But yeah, so.
And Ben got to come.
And Ben got to
help
come and
out.
comfort me. So thanks, Ben. All right, guys.
Viewers.
Ben, you want to say goodbye?
Goodbye, everyone.
Okay, I'm killing Ben now.
No,
Yeah, no. You're gonna get in the tank and tell me if it's safe to breathe in there.
Get in the tank, like.
Yeah, the downstairs one. I know you'll drown properly in this tank. I want to know if you'll drown properly in the tank
If you
downstairs.
hold me by my legs, right?
Yeah.
That's how you drown somebody in like
An inch of water.
Yeah. A
Yeah.
foot of water.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they gotta get it over the nose and the mouth, I imagine. But.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're gonna deal with these dead fish and have a drink of Dr. Pepper in their memory. Pour some out into their no, we won't do that. But all right, guys, I need to stop rambling. Goodbye. Thank you for showing up, and
Goodbye.
I will talk to you guys
Good
later.
night and a good weekend.
And as always, take care of your fish, or we'll find you. No, I can't say that. I just killed mine. Take care of your fish, your tanks, the people around you, and it'll give you a more full life. It'll give you more meaning and make you more happy in the long run. So find something you love and love it, like consciously.